Good afternoon. I'm Minister Andrea. I'm a follower of Jesus the Christ, and I'm an Infinite Way student. We have left out the spiritual part of what Jesus was teaching us. It has been lost. A lot of people are definitely looking into spirituality, which is wonderful. Learning and understanding spirituality is important. So I'm going to be reading from my teacher's book, The World is New, and I'm also going to be quoting scripture. My subject this afternoon is Essentials of Healing. Healing is essential, and in this particular book, I'm going to be talking about what it takes to be a healer. So I'm going to actually talk more about this in another chapter as well. And I have some other videos on healing, so you can check those out when you're ready. And now, Essentials of Healing. There cannot be the presence of God and the absence of any quality of God, or the presence of any quality that is not of God. Anything unlike God is only an appearance or a suggestion of a selfhood or activity separate and apart from God. For example, if we see any evidence of error, drunkenness, immortality, accident, sin, or disease, let us translate that immediately into the word suggestion or the word appearance. If we do this, we will have taken a big step forward because whatever the appearance, it does not exist as an actual condition. It does not exist as a thing or a person. It exists only as a false appearance. And when we recognize it as that, it disappears. We have thereby seen through it and destroyed it because its only reality lay in our believing it to be something or someone. Whenever then error presents itself to us as some person or something, if we are quick and alert and realize that it is neither a thing nor a person, that it is nothing but a suggestion of a selfhood apart from God, an illusory picture, so quickly will it be met that the sick person will jump to his feet and the drunken will become sober. When a call for help comes, just to recognize that this is neither a person, a thing, nor a condition, but only a suggestion, which we are not going to accept, ends it. It is in this immediate recognition that instantaneous healings come. And instantaneous healing will not take place if the minister, practitioner, first looks upon the problem as a person, thing, or condition. The only way the illusion can be dispelled is to recognize instantly that we are dealing with appearance or suggestion. When we look at the streetcar tracks in the distance and see them converging, that is not a condition, and nobody has to pray or give a treatment. All we are called upon to do is to recognize that this is only an appearance. So also, the sky does not sit on the mountain. This exists not as an actual condition to be met, but only as a suggestion coming to the one who is seeing it for acceptance. And what of the mirage? There has never been a mirage that has created wet sands on the desert. No mirage city has ever been built or torn down. They exist only as appearance, as illusory sense, as suggestions of conditions apart from the normal sense of things. These examples show what is really meant by the term mortal mind, human mind, a term which has had widespread usage. The only difficulty is that instead of indicating the nothingness of what we seem to see all around us, it has frightened people into believing they have something to get rid of. To most people who use the term mortal mind or human mind, it undoubtedly means some evil mind or some mind other than God, some presence or power other than God. But that is not the correct meaning of a mortal human mind. Originally, it meant the sum total of all human beliefs. There's only one mind, and that mind is the instrument of God. Where then and how does the term mortal mind fit into the allness of God? This thing that has been called mortal mind is not an opposite of the mind which is the instrument of God, because that mind, being infinite, cannot have an opposite. And thus, this so-called human mortal mind can be only suppositional. It would be wise for those who can do so to remove that term from their thinking and substitute for it the idea that error in any and every form is only an appearance or suggestion. Because if they are convinced that error is only appearance or suggestion, they know they do not have to reach out to do something to it. That leads us up to the most important part of the teaching of the infinite way. Healing work has nothing to do with healing anyone of disease, sin, fear, lack, or limitation. It has to do with our not accepting a false appearance as reality. If we accept the appearance or suggestion of error, then we are no different from those who believe that error exists, and we cannot help ourselves or anyone else, because we will be the blind leading the blind. The only difference between a patient and a minister practitioner is that the patient believes momentarily that this suggestion or appearance exists as an actual condition, whereas the practitioner, minister, has come to see that what is appearing as sin, disease, or lack is nothing more or less than illusion. He treats it that way and quickly drops it. The fullness of God is present as each and every individual. Every person is the absolute allness of God, individualized, just as every number one is the allness of number one, and every number two is the allness of two. True, appearances testify otherwise. Here is a male and here is a female. Here is a person of advanced years. Here is one of immaturity, and here is a child. Again, appearance. It is not true. Every individual at whatever stage of his experience is the fullness and the allness of God. Son, all that I have is thine. Luke 15:31. All that I, God, have is thine. Lo, I am with you always. Matthew 28:20. The fullness of the I is within us, and any evidence to the contrary is only an appearance, an illusion, a false sense. Therefore, every time we come face to face with an individual who will not accept any limiting appearance about us, we must have some measure of healing. The realization that we ourselves are the fullness of God, that realization on our part or on the part of an illumined consciousness, is the oneness with God that produces healing. Behind this is the truth that God is all, and the truth that God, the infinite one, appears as you and as me, and as the dog, the cat, or as the bird. But it is still the one. You are that one. I am that one. You are the fulfillment of that one. This may sound as if I were giving a treatment, but only because every statement of truth is a treatment to any false appearance. However, I am not making these statements in the sense of giving a treatment, but in the sense of presenting the truth of being because of God. Because God, whether appearing as one person or as another, has no need of healing. You are that God appearing. You are that life eternal. I am that God appearing. I am that life eternal. And that is true of every one of us. Many of our problems stem from the fact that we have been educated into accepting the belief that we are finite human beings, and so we are always seeking some good. One person seeks help, one companionship, one supply, and one a home. And therein lies the error, the reason for delayed or slow healing, as well as for failures in the healing work. If all those who today call themselves patients would acknowledge that they are not going to a teacher, a minister, or practitioner for healing, but rather for the revelation of their own completeness, they would hasten the day of their healing. If all ministers and practitioners would stop treating a treatment or giving a treatment and stop trying to heal the body and recognize that God is the only power, and in God's kingdom there is no disease, and only recognize the presence of God, they would do beautiful healing work. We are a new world. We are a spiritual generation. We are really God fulfilling itself as individual being. The allness of God permeates us, not for our own sakes, but that we may be the light of the world, to our friends, families, neighbors, and to all those who have not yet come into the light of this truth. You and I are traveling the spiritual path to be a light so that others may see by our example the fruitage of spiritual living, not primarily so that you or I may benefit. In the scheme of God, it is unimportant whether we ride the wave of prosperity or not. The only possible reason that God could have in prospering any of us is so that others may see the benefits of the spiritual path and reach out for it. So, too, there is only one reason why we should show forth help, and it is not so that we can have a more peaceful mind or a less painful body. It is only so that others will see the fruitage of the Spirit and thus be led to follow that way. It would be a very simple thing for all of us to be healthier and wealthier than we are if we could agree from this point on to stop trying to demonstrate health and wealth for ourselves. If we could give up the attempt to be healed or enriched today, we would come naturally into the grace of God. Our very efforts to heal and to be healed are the stumbling blocks in our pathway. The more a practitioner or spiritual minister struggles with a case, the less likelihood there is of bringing out a healing. Healing is not a matter of labor, but of love and of grace. Health, wealth, and harmony, all these come by the grace of God. No one has to work for them, pray, or be deserving of them. All of this comes as the grace of God, and that grace is made and manifest in proportion as we stop thinking of ourselves and our problems and begin thinking of God and thinking out to the world. Here is one good way to make a beginning when we go to a spiritual practitioner or spiritual minister for help. Usually, we think of ourselves as human beings. Even if we think of ourselves in a spiritual sense, it is most likely as something less than God itself, as a fact. Now, let us reverse that and think of ourselves as cause, as the causative principle of life, as the law unto our being, the law unto our body, the law unto our business. My authority for that? I come well authorized. My authorization is found in the whole teaching of Jesus Christ. It comprises the gospel according to John. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the resurrection and the life. John 14:6 and John 11:25. Have I been so long time with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? He that seeth me seeth him that sent me. I and my Father are one. John 14:9 and John 10:30. As we give these truths an opportunity to work in our consciousness and our mind, they will bear spiritual fruit and free us from fear. We cannot be healed of fear while we believe that there is a law outside us, even if we think it is a law of God, because how can we know if we are going to make a connection with that law? Maybe we will fail. Maybe we are the law of God. How can we escape from ourselves? If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. Psalms 139:8. Yes, if I am in hell, then God is there too, because God and I are one. Let us remember that and see if we can ever again fear after we have recognized ourselves to be the law, to be the life, the mind, and the soul of God, all one. Wherever we go, to a library, to a church, or to a movie, a restaurant, or even a cocktail bar, let us never believe that the atmosphere in which we live, move, and have our being is dependent on where we are. If we remember this, we shall never be any place, even in a cocktail bar, except to bless, for we will have no other business there. We carry our own atmosphere with us. We are the law of God. And wherever we go, the law of God, the presence of God goes with us. Whether in a cocktail bar, a hotel, a prison, or an asylum. Through our realization of God as our life and soul, we carry the atmosphere of health and wealth with us. And everyone who touches our consciousness will feel it and be benefited by it. I carry the atmosphere of my being with me, and it blesses not only me, but all who come within range of my consciousness. They must be blessed even if they touch my coat, because I am permeated with the atmosphere of God. God is my mind, my soul, and the substance of my body, the law of my body. There's nothing to me but God, and if anyone sees me as less, he is seeing what his own vision has created. Here, where I am, there is only God, and that is all I see in anyone. The longer we persist in seeing male and female, health and sickness, wealth and poverty, the longer do we postpone the day when we realize that we ourselves are the law unto ourselves. Jesus made himself the law unto his own being when he told Pilate, "Thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above." John 19:11. Jesus knew that he himself was the law of God, and his knowing that he was that law made it impossible for Pilate to kill him, crucify him, yes, but that was only because he gave his consent to it. When Jesus gave his consent to the crucifixion, he probably wanted to show that even though the human sense of life was destroyed, he would prove that no one could do anything to the real life. And he did. So it is with us. This human world can do anything to us that we permit it to do. It can crucify us or it can set us free. But it must have our consent. No one can even die without giving his consent to death. A person may not openly say, "I am ready to die," but he often does say, "Oh, what's the use?" or "I'm giving up," and that is really the consent. In the same way, no one can be a failure until he gives his consent to failure. There are certain conditions in the world that may knock a man down, but if he does not accept failure, he will rise above all obstacles and be stronger than ever before. And the reason: every individual himself is the embodiment of all the God power there is. You and I are the embodiment of all that God power. You and I are the law of God that acts upon our business, our body, our family relationships, and, as a matter of fact, upon the atomic bomb. There is not even an atomic bomb that can destroy us, except with our consent. If we accept the teaching of Jesus Christ, we lay the foundation for our freedom from this world. I have seen almost every type of disease healed and almost every form of insanity cured. I have seen wondrous and marvelous things in this work, enough to testify that it is a miraculous work, and a person with no other background than yours or mine can do it, just by a little study and the acceptance of a few truths. This is because not only was Jesus the Christ and Buddha and Shankara also, but you and I are the Christ as much so as Jesus was. This is because not only was Jesus the Christ and Buddha and Shankara also, but you and I are the Christ as much so as Jesus was, if only we will acknowledge it and claim it. Within a day, a week, or month, or year, a dedicated person can do the same kind of healing work that is being done by the best practitioners in the metaphysical world. It is a very simple thing. It comes as a result of knowing first that we are the very presence of God, and that we need no other law to act upon us for good, because we are the embodiment of all the law of good that God has ever given to individual being. The second thing necessary to know in order to do spiritual healing is that whatever of evil there is not reality. It is an appearance or suggestion, and All we have to do is to recognize it as an appearance and let it go. All error is hypnotism. It is enough to know that we are not called upon to heal cancer, tumors, blindness, lack, or limitation, but that all that is necessary is to awaken out of a state of hypnotism. The practitioner must be the dehypnotized person who knows that there is no such thing as an externalized cancer, a tumor, blindness, lack, or limitation. How could there be if God is the cause and the principle of the universe? All that God made is good. A practitioner minister, therefore, is one who knows these two things. 1. All that God is, I am. Son, all that I have is thine. Luke 15:30. And number 2. Anything else is an appearance or suggestion of a selfhood apart from God. His realization is, thank you, Father. I do not have to remove disease or heal it. I have only to be dehypnotized enough to know that God is the life and the mind of this individual. I am the law of God in action, and every individual is the law of God in action. Begin by reversing your own beliefs about yourself. Reverse the belief that you exist as an effect of something, as an image, a reflection, or an idea. You exist as the very presence of God, the allness of God, individually manifested here for the glory of God. Begin now. Instead of looking for some law that is miraculously going to make you healthy, wealthy, and wise, be that law. Instead of looking for some law that is miraculously going to make you healthy, wealthy, and wise, be that law. Forget about mortal mind, human mind, and see that everything that comes within range of your vision is appearance. Right where the false appearance is, right there is reality. The universe of God, perfect, entire, complete, and only awaiting your recognition. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. Galatians 2:20. All that is real of me is the Christ. Anything else, that which is visible to sense, is but my limited view of the Christ which I am. The essentials of healing. Thanks for listening. I give praise to God. To God be the glory. You are the sanctuary of God, and God lives in his sanctuary now. Your body is the temple of God. Let's worship God in spirit and in truth. Meditate. Listen to this video over and over again. Meditate on healing. Get an understanding, because thou art the Christ. The Christ liveth in you. Practice, practice, practice. And don't forget to subscribe and like us and tell others about this video. We are all one with God. Thank you. I am Minister Andrea, and I am a follower of Jesus the Christ. And my teacher is Joel S. Goldsmith. Meditate, meditate, meditate and pray. Meditation is really prayer. Meditation is what we need to do daily to give God the glory. We give God the glory when we meditate. That is when we have communion with God. Meditation is communion with God. I give thanks, and so it is. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Joel, and I thank you all for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and tell others about us. And remember, to God be the glory. Peace and love. Essentials of Healing from The World is New. Written by Joel S. Goldsmith.